All right, I think we are good to go. We're good to start. I think there might be a couple more people joining, but we got a good amount already on, so we'll go ahead and get started. We appreciate you guys joining us this morning. We're in the, as they call, the dark days of summer, and we're chugging along. It's amazing how quickly these weeks go by, and now we're getting ready to approach September. Um, and I know it's interesting how um, the summer has been. I know for at least here, for here us here in California, excuse me. It was the last weekend we had a interesting coverage here with the hurricane headed our way, and I was thinking how you guys deal with this on a consistent basis throughout the year, every year, in terms of just preparation and storms and potential hurricanes that come through Florida. We dealt with it a little bit for a couple of days here in California, and it was mass hysteria. But gratefully, everything turned out okay, and we just got a lot of rain for a day and a half. So, but yeah, it definitely gives a profound respect for those that live in Florida and deal with this all the time, and it's a normal occurrence. But it's amazing what something like this can do to people and get them to go into a frenzy. And so, but anywho, as we get ready to go into Labor Day weekend, as we approach this weekend, and we start getting back into kids going back to school. So a lot of the traffic patterns and different things out there will start to change. Weather will start to change drastically as well. Be a little bit more unpredictable as we get into the second half of the year. But we appreciate you guys joining, and we've got a few topics here we'll discuss. Like always, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to unmute yourself and ask that question. I'm pretty sure with all the experience that we have on this call, we can get you some answers. So again, we appreciate you guys joining, and have Mr. David Jackson here that will take it away.
Good morning, everybody. One of the things I want to talk about this morning is lane changes. And I've got some information here according to the FMCSA, who does statistics on all this. They say that 75% of the lane changes or merge crashes involve the recognition of failure by the lane changing driver to pay attention to what's going on. They're not paying attention to what is required of them to make the lane changes. One of the other statistics is 14% of the large truck crashes occur when the driver is required to look to safely complete a maneuver and fails to do so. When you're changing lanes and all that, you've got to spend more time looking around. You should already know who's next to you, who's behind you, who's in front of you, and all that. But when you go to make a lane change, you have to double check, maybe even triple check, to make sure that you have the space to do that. Okay. Be aware of the no zones or blind spots in your truck. Know that there are places beside the side of the truck, behind the truck, or right next to the truck, and you will see. I don't know if you have you go online, you'll see a map, not a map, but a chart. It shows you where the blind spots are in your truck. If you've been paying attention while you drive, you will see somebody approach you in your blind spot, but not exit the blind spot. So in your mind, you should know that there's somebody there, even if you can't see them. So these are the kinds of things you need to be aware of. You need to drive defensively, maintain your safe speed, be alert, especially in construction zones when you go to merge two lanes because there's construction, or maybe even three lanes because there's construction. Every car should be going, you should do what they call a zipper. And that is one car goes in one lane, the other car goes in the other lane. The next lane, you should be in between each other. So that way you know that that's what's going on. It's sometimes really hard for trucks because cars don't want to let you in. So it's a matter of going slow and slowly inching in. At some point, one of the cars will recognize, especially if you have your lights on, your flashers on, that you are going to come over, and they'll stop and let you in. But again, You have to be alert to somebody who's not paying attention to that. Okay. I want to also talk about sideswipe collisions. What is a sideswipe? It's when two vehicles touch each other on the side, on their side. And some of the causes of that are the drivers, either one or both of the drivers are distracted. They're doing something, reaching for something or looking on their phone or whatever. You can, when you're driving down the road, you can see distracted drivers in front of you because they may stay in their lane, but they go from one side of the lane to the other side of the lane, back and forth, or their speed changes. They'll go from 60 to 65, and then back down to like 55, and then back up to 60. They're doing something they're not supposed to be doing, and that's why they're changing their speed. So you be aware of that. The other possibility is they're either drowsy, very sleepy, or they're drunk, or not even drunk, but just impaired from the alcohol they've been assuming. So when you change the lanes, again, looking for the blind spot, making sure that you know who's there or who could be there. It's not even that they might be there, that they might be there. In bad weather, and we haven't gotten in the snow yet, but in wet weather, one of the other possibilities is that they are hydroplaning. It doesn't take much to hydroplane. You know, a quarter inch of water on the road, especially if it's fresh water, because it combines with oil that's been dripping on the road for a while, and the water hasn't come along to wash it off. But they could be hydroplaning. So that's why maintaining your distance, your following distance, is very, very, very important. It takes, if you're doing 65 miles an hour, it takes about 525 feet. This is and I'm talking about good weather, good roads, conditions, and everything. It takes about 225 feet to stop from the time you recognize there's a problem, you have a reaction time, and the time that it actually takes to stop, including the time there's a lag. So the air brakes, there's a lag in the time you put your foot on the brake and the air actually gets to the back of the trailer and stops the brakes. So you're talking almost 2 football fields at 65 miles an hour. So you need to maintain at least minimum a 4-second following distance. And how can you tell what the following distance is when the end of a vehicle in front of you passes a pole or a sign of some kind, start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. When you count 4, if the front of your vehicle is at that point, then that's 4 seconds. If it's past that point, or you haven't gotten there yet, then you're okay. But if it's past that point, let's say it's 3.5 seconds, your following distance is too close. And one of the reasons you want to keep your following distance is because there's a thing called billboarding. When you're too close to like another trailer, you can't see what's going on in front of him. All you're seeing is the back of the trailer. It's like a billboard on the side of the highway. All you see is that. You don't see what's behind it. So you need to maintain your distance for safety reasons, but you also need to maintain your distance so that you can see brake lights or turn signals of vehicles in front of the one that you're following. Or if you can't see that because you're restricted to a certain lane, at least you have enough time so that when they put on your brakes, you can also put on your brakes so that you avoid a sudden stop. Sudden stops also trigger your cameras for your VCR, the DVRs. Sudden stops, changes to the left or to the right, and when you trigger your DVR, you allow for the people who are monitoring, and it's actually not people, it's a computer that looks at what's going on when that sudden stop or the sudden lane change happens, and it records it. And it will call the boss and say, hey, you need to look at this because there was a sudden stop here, and maybe there's cause for you to be instructed to change your following distance or to increase your following distance or whatever. But in any case, FedEx's monitoring can take place anytime for anything that you do. Not wearing your seatbelt. So all these things need to be in your mind when you're driving. You need to avoid sudden stops. Okay. You need to be aware of vehicles that are coming onto the ramp. Is there space between you and the vehicle in front of you for them to get in safely? If your following distance is 4 seconds, I like to keep my guys at 8 seconds, which is twice the following distance speed. 8 to 12 seconds is for bad weather, but I like to keep them at 8 seconds so that somebody coming onto the road will have a place to go and not jam you on the side and have a vehicle collision on the side of the road, or hit the vehicle in front of them. So you're not responsible for that, but you need to be, as part of your defensive driving, you need to be aware of all those things. If somebody is following you behind, and you can tell that they're tailgating you, just gradually slow down a little bit. Slow down a little more, slow down a little bit more. And at some point, they will get the hint and pass you so that they're not following you too close. Because you don't want to be rear-ended any more than you want to rear-end somebody else. Okay? I also want to talk, Aaron started talking about school being a new thing now because kids are back in school. If you're driving through an area where there's school, usually there's a sign that says school, and there's flashing lights, and it says, to reduce your speed, you should be reducing your speed at that point. Even if it says sometimes if there are school students present, but if the lights are flashing, they probably are, but you may be getting one or two stragglers, or there's one or two people that are out sooner than the other ones. So you really want to look for those signs and then drop your speed down so that it's appropriate. If you come across a crosswalk and there's a guard there who has a sign, or there's an officer there that has a sign, you need to obey those at all times. Be going slow enough so that you can stop when you need to stop. If there's a school bus in front of you and the school bus is stopped, even if the stop sign is not protruding from the bus, you need to stop, and in both directions, either way, and give the school bus, when you do stop, at least 10 feet of space so that students have a space because no telling whether they're paying attention or not. They have a space in which they can have a mistake, error, but not be punished for it because you're too close, or they're looking at you instead of the ongoing traffic. Okay? You're not allowed to pass the vehicle when the stop sign is out until that sign in the back is retreated and the lights go off. So, like you said, school is starting. Pay attention to that. I don't know how much you're going to be involved in an area where there is a school, but you need to know the laws. Okay? Are there any questions? I have one more thing. If you're stopped at an intersection, first of all, you need to be aware. I don't know if you know what a stale green light is. Stale green light is a light that's been green for a long time. And you have to consider whether you're going to make it through the intersection or not. So be aware of that. Be conscious of the fact that that's been there a long time. Once you stop for the light, you don't want to start as soon as the light turns green. You want to count 1, 2, 3 before you start out. And the reason for that is a lot of people will try and beat that light coming the other way. Their light turns red, but they're going to try and beat it anyway. Okay? You don't want to be out in the middle of the intersection while they're trying to beat that light. So be careful of the stale green lights. Slow down for that. Be aware that there could be cross traffic. Be aware that you may not be able to make it all the way through the intersection. And when the light does turn green on your side, you want to count 1, 2, 3 before you actually move out into the intersection. Okay, any questions?
If you have any questions, unmute yourself. All right, we're going to show a couple videos just to reinforce the great points that David brought up about school zones. Just from like some news clippings and some awareness pieces to bring up how this can really impact drivers in certain areas.
A ninth grader in Bartow County almost hit by a truck as she boarded her school bus. The school bus driver thought really quickly, slammed on the horn as soon as they saw what was going on, alerting the teenager, who jumped out of the way just in time. Today, the Bartow County Sheriff honored that bus driver and announced that deputies have arrested the truck driver who nearly hit the teenager. Joe Hankey's in the newsroom after talking with the bus driver and the teen's mother today. Joe, how did the girl's mother react after seeing that video of her daughter? I cannot imagine. Made my heart sink, and it's not my child.
Made mine sink too, Cheryl. She told me she immediately broke down crying after watching the video, and when her daughter came home from school, she also broke down. The bus driver says during 7 years of driving with Bartow County schools, other drivers have blown past her stop sign, but never like this. Driving Bartow County School Bus 198 is routine for Shannon Banks. And on the morning of August 20th, Banks drove down Young Road to pick up 15-year-old Candace Vaughn.
As soon as I motioned her across, here I looked in this mirror, and the car was coming flying, and all I could do was honk the horn.
With her stop sign out and lights on, Banks honked the horn and Vaughn jumped as a truck blew past. Banks called her supervisors, who notified the Bartow County Sheriff's Office. It all happened in front of Vaughn's home.
It stops right there in front of my mailbox there.
As the Sheriff's Office began investigating, they showed the teen's mother the video.
And I broke down and cried, and I was thanking God that, she's okay, and God was watching over her that day, and the bus driver was responding, and she was responding to the bus driver. Very, very close call.
The closest call ever for Banks.
But luckily, everybody was paying attention.
Today, Sheriff Clark Millsap called a press conference to honor Banks.
You went above and beyond the call when your actions prevented one of Bartow County students from being run over by a passing motorist as she boarded your bus.
Tragedy avoided, but Banks keeps replaying the near miss in her head.
I think about if I hadn't got it in time, if I saw her hit, it would have been a traumatic experience for all of us.
This morning, deputies arrested 42-year-old Blake Tyson Lockwood.
Can't tell me that you didn't see that big old yellow bus there with the red signs. Everybody else stopped.
Millsap says witnesses and video helped investigators track down Lockwood and his truck. He's charged with 8 misdemeanors, including reckless driving, failure to stop for a school bus, and tampering with evidence. Now the teen's mother has a simple message for Banks.
I just want to tell her thank you for, being there and honking the horn and watching out for her.
And Shannon Banks says while drivers need to stop for school bus stop signs, she also wants students to watch their bus driver for any directions when crossing the street. The sheriff says that the truck driver is also charged with tampering with evidence after he removed his truck's tag and battery in an attempt to show the truck was never being driven. Cheryl.
Wow, that's an incredible story. Thank you, Joe.
All right, that's impactful. Just the near miss, those are always tough to see, but at the same time, being able to see that in real time is pretty interesting. We got one more we're going to show, and then we'll conclude here. Let's see.
One of the greatest concerns that we have during the school year is the safety of our children when getting on and off school buses. Hi, I'm Officer Chuck Hoffkamp with the Loveland Police Department. Let's take a look and talk about when you may or may not pass a school bus with flashing lights. Just like a stoplight, the school bus yellow lights will flash before it arrives at a school bus stop, and the red lights begin to flash. Colorado law requires that when the school bus red lights are flashing, vehicles may not pass by the bus. When the red flashing lights come on, a stop sign located on the driver's side of the bus is also activated. On a two-lane road, traffic in both directions is required to stop and may not pass the bus. On a four-lane road with only a painted double yellow line dividing the roadway, here again, traffic in both directions is required to stop. This type of violation is common in Loveland. On the other hand, on a four-lane road with a raised or lowered median, traffic traveling in the opposite direction of the bus on the other side of the median is not required to stop. The traffic traveling in the same direction as the bus on the same side of the raised median is required to stop. On a four-lane road with a painted median, vehicles traveling in the opposite direction on the other side of the painted median are not required to stop. These are the areas that have the middle or fifth lane for turning and have double yellow lines. Passing a school bus with the red lights flashing is a serious traffic offense. It is a mandatory court appearance, a 6-point violation, and about a $200 fine. There are no deals for school bus red light violations. For the safety of our children, please be careful around school buses and be sure to follow the rules. Oh, and I hope we don't meet face to face.
All right. Zian, you guys want to go over any updates?
Yes, hello. I have updates in the back of the agenda. It says for the Orlando meeting, the last thing they were saying is to pay attention to your hours of services. And once again, they talk about the use of PC to remember that it's a personal result only. It says also to review your binders and make sure you have your malfunctioning and law enforcement transfer data documentation. They are doing at the gate and they are asking for you guys to be patient and dedicate a couple minutes to them if they stop you, because it's to help you. They are mocking DOT inspections. They are asking for your medical card. They want to see that you understand your binder and you know what is in your binder. So we went ahead and identified the registration, IFTA document, insurance, and also you need to know where the malfunctioning and data transfer information is, okay? And if you do good, they let you go. If you have a light or has any damage that is DOT concern, they are not gonna allow you to take the load. Either you have to change the tractor or go to the shop or do whatever you have to do. And this is for your good because we don't want that you get a ticket. So be nice with them, listen and learn. And most of all, I would say if you do a good pre-trip, you will not have any problem. Okay, when you go to that gate. In Ocala, they were talking about severe storms and severe weather that we've been experiencing. Make sure that you reduce your speed at least 1/3 on wet road. If you go up north, you know that winter is gonna come very quickly. And in some places there are snow, and make sure that you follow a good following distance and you reduce your speed if it's necessary. In curve, reduce your speed significantly to avoid rollover. They are also saying that if you encounter an aggressive driver or distracted driver, practice tolerance and forgiveness. Remember, you are the professional driver. The other people, sometimes they don't know that they can cause an accident. So you have to be the tolerant and forgiveness person, okay? I have here that for that severe weather, just in Lugmo update, I just added that now because we just learned over the weekend about Franklin, and now we learned about it's a Idalia storm. they have us right now in Kissimmee, Orlando, Orange County, Osceola County. They have us under tropical storm watch, meaning that it could be some winds starting today and wind gusts like between 20 and 30, 57 miles per hour. So in Marion County, Ocala, Gainesville area, they are saying we are under hurricane warning, hurricane watch. Okay, so the weather could be a little bit more harsh in this area. They're expecting from 70 to 95 winds or wind gusts. The only thing we can say, use your judgment, do not take any risk. We are not gonna ask you to take any risk. Study the weather, talk to us, okay? And we're gonna do the same thing. You know that I send you weather alerts, I send you path, and if there's something, even one question, we're going to discuss, and we're not going to risk our safety for any reason, okay? It's not worth it. For birthday, happy birthday to everybody that born in the month of August. Housekeeping, especially in Orlando, having the tractors clean is becoming a challenge. And we have people who help us, but you need to remove the trash at the line hole. Do not remove trash at the parking lot where you leave the tractor, because you know there's some challenges over there. But please do not leave trash. There has been cockroaches and ants in some of the trucks, and that's a huge no-no for us. That's a distraction, and we don't want that. And then I want to say thank you so much for a great and fantastic break inspection week. We were free of violations, free of incidents, so kudos for all of you. Let us know if you have any question, if you have concerns about the weather. If we hear anything from line haul about the weather, we're gonna keep you posted. You can always call Wilhelm, Jaime, Ruben. I always write to you guys. Please let us know your concerns, and we're gonna keep you posted, okay? Thank you, Aaron.
All right, thank you, everyone. We appreciate you. Stay safe out there, and we'll talk again next month. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.